Hey guys, Argent here with another Game of Thrones character profile. So last time on Team Lannister we talked about Cersei, and before that we talked about the relationship between the three Lannister children. So we're going to do the second of the three Lannister children. Sorry about that, Tyrion Lannister. I say second because Jaime is the kind of the odd one out of the three, in that he's absolutely nothing like his father. Whereas Cersei has her father's will to power, and Tyrion has his father's brains and abilities, at least to some extent. We'll talk about that a bit more. Now, Tyrion's interesting. Like I said, and like most people tend to realize even within the universe, he is in many ways the most like his father of the three. He possesses considerable intelligence, considerable charisma, and good administration powers. He's a competent administrator. He's a competent politician. He's a smart guy, and he's hardworking. In contrast to Cersei, who's lazy and stupid, and Jaime, who just doesn't care enough to do anything. And Jaime's actual intelligence is a very dodgy prospect. We really have no idea how smart Jaime Lannister is. We don't really know about Jaime. So Tyrion is a lot of people's favorite character. People love him. People love that he's the underdog. People like that he's kind of nerdy. People like how he's a drunken cynic who likes to bed whores and get drunk and have a good time. People love Tyrion. Tyrion is many people's favorite characters. He's probably the most popular character in Game of Thrones. George R. Martin has said Tyrion is my favorite character. What do I think of him? I have mixed feelings. I don't like him as much as everyone else does. I have somewhat unconventional views of characters. I really like Tywin Lannister. I really like Sansa Stark, who's the most unpopular character. Tyrion for me is a mixed bag. Tyrion is not. I think people exaggerate his competence. People tend to play up how effective he is, etc. To me, he is kind of an archetypical Napoleon complex character. Even though Napoleon wasn't short, there's this idea that short people have innate inferiority complexes, and it leads them to try and compensate for it. And Tyrion certainly tries that to some extent, but in other ways he doesn't. I have a much more mixed view of his time as Hand. While he was Hand and he was decent at being Hand, he was also extremely arrogant. And this is an aspect of Tyrion Lannister's personality people tend to forget about and tend to ignore. When Tyrion Lannister was Hand, he displayed a complete lack of self-awareness, a complete lack of understanding of his position, and an extreme arrogance that really kind of cooked his goose in the end. He made no real attempt to make alliances with anyone, to get anyone to like him, to get anyone on his side, to build a power base of his own. And yet he acted as if he was his father. He acted as if he had all the armies and wealth of the Westerlands at his to command. He was cavalier with his sister. He threatened her. He threatened the king. He got into fights with the Kingsguard, with Janos Slynt, although he at least got rid of Janos Slynt. Pycelle. Basically, all the other lords despised him, other than maybe Varys, but Varys was a snake and he shouldn't have trusted him. He basically, while he was Hand, alienated absolutely everyone who could have supported him and could have helped him and that could have been his ally by being arrogant, by being a dick, by taking extreme offense from them. And he just kind of failed as a politician. The only reason he was effective was because his father gave him power, and he was disappointed when his father took it back, as if he's expecting something else. But he can't be Hand in his own right, because he's not a lord in his own right. He's technically the heir to Casterly Rock, but his father doesn't acknowledge this, and so no one else acknowledges this. He has no power base. He has basically whatever his father gives him, nothing more, nothing less. The only kind of power base he has is Bronn, and Bronn is a sellsword who doesn't actually like him, but Tyrion deludes himself into thinking Bronn likes him. Tyrion suffers from a massive inferiority complex as a result of the incident with Tysha. He doesn't believe anyone can actually like him and that anyone can actually respect him, so he simply makes no effort. Tyrion makes no effort to really charm people, to win people over, to try and convince people that he's a good guy, because he just thinks it would amount to anything. And so he doesn't build the alliances and relationships that would make him an effective leader and enable him to gain real power and to build his own base. And thus, in the end, when he faces trial, everybody turns on him and shuts him down in favor of Cersei, who no one likes either, but she at least knows how to play the people game. Don't get me wrong, people fucking hate Cersei. There doesn't really seem to be anyone on the show who she doesn't have sex with who actually likes her as a person and thinks she's a competent leader. Tyrion has no ability to self-promote, no ability to form alliances or make relationships, etc. Um, and that's kind of his downfall. And people like to say, oh, he's brilliant, he's the best politician, he's the best at playing the game. He's actually pretty terrible at playing the game, because he lacks self-awareness. Now, his father's an arrogant douchebag, but his father has a lot of self-awareness. Tywin's willing to make alliances, Tywin's willing to cut deals, Tywin's even willing to give amnesty to people who wrong him, provided it helps him get ahead and helps build a power base and a power structure for future endeavors. Tyrion doesn't really seem to understand this. He doesn't really seem to understand when to take offense, when to not take offense, when to cut deals, when to not cut deals, how to charm people. He is a he is Tywin without the Machiavellian streak, but unlike Ned Stark, who lacks a Machiavellian streak, who people like, because he's an honorable, decent man, even if he's naive and kind of dumb, people like Ned because he's not a dick. But Tyrion's a dick. He's a dick who doesn't have any ability to brown nose people and doesn't have the power that would enable him not to brown nose people. So that's his downfall, and people treat it like it's some great tragedy, but really it's mostly his own fault, and it's his own inability to understand the basis of his situation. Which is why I think Tyrion has a self-defeating personality disorder. Ever since his childhood, he believes no one can love him, no one can respect him unless he pays them. That's why he falls in love with a whore who will tell him whatever he wants. That's why his best friend is a sellsword who he basically pays to be his friend. He doesn't think anyone can love him. He has no confidence in himself or in the ability of anyone else to feel anything for him. And so he drowns his problems with ale and alienates those who could potentially help him and could potentially care about him. Uh, why he trusts Varys, I don't know. I think he maybe thought Varys was a kindred spirit, as it were. It's why he would trust him. It's very, very strange. Uh, that's about all I can say about Tyrion. He's largely a man with above average intelligence with an inferiority complex who keeps undermining himself and shooting himself in the foot. Um, he doesn't. I mean, his relationship with Sansa could have potentially worked out, especially Show Tyrion, because Show Tyrion's actually not a bad-looking guy. He's not deformed in any way. He's short, like he's a dwarf, yes, but he doesn't have a bad-looking face. His body is properly proportioned. Him and Sansa, even if they didn't fall in love, they could have at least gotten along okay, but he really put no effort into that because he assumes everyone will reject him. And he puts no effort into it. And that is why Tyrion fails, and that is why He is not a good player of the Game of Thrones, regardless of his intelligence and regardless of what people think of him. That's my thoughts of the matter. This is Argent Templar signing out.